Good morning, or good afternoon, depends when you're watching it. Welcome back to the channel, Fishing AT, and you join me today. I'm fishing at Llantwit Major Beach, which is a venue I've not fished before. And Llantwit Major sits between Nash Point, where I was fishing before, in the distance there. Well, I say in the distance, it's probably only about a mile. And you've got St Donat's there just behind the rods and the Atlantic College. And then you swing round, and I'll have to lift it up. You can see the big dome in the water there. That sits off Aberthaw. And basically parked at the car park at Llantwit Major Beach there. So probably one of the only venues around here I can actually fish and see my car. But the coastline is very, very similar to what we've been fishing over the last couple of weeks on my other videos at Nash and at Fontagari. Coastline's the same, cliff's a little bit smaller, but this is obviously a beach and sand venue. You can see I've looked on Google Maps, and there's a sand area here that I'm fishing onto, so the ground is pretty clean. First casts are out, and we'll see what we can catch. Tactics are pretty much the same. Long pulley pennels, 3/0 pulley pennels, 6 feet length, and they've got bluey, squid, prawn and some sandeel today, so quite big baits. And let's just see what we can get and just try and suss out a new mark. Well, it's currently 10 to 9, so I've been fishing about half an hour. Low water is about 11:15, and I should have said it's Tuesday the 16th of May. We've got it's about a 10.5 metre on the Barry scale and about 2 metre low, so we've got about 8.5 metres of elevation change, so about 25-26 feet. And it's quite a warm day. I got out of the van and it was about 7 degrees, but I think it's going to get close to 16-17 degrees, and it's bright and sunny. There is plenty of colour in the water, but well, we'll see what today brings in terms of fish, because as I say, it's quite a bright day. Not a venue, as I said, I fished before. I wanted just to have a look at it and just see what this mark was about. Relatively easy to get to. The access onto the beach is pretty easy. Not such a long walk as some of the other marks. And just to see really what this mark is like. Can't remember really seeing any fishing videos here done before. I'll have to actually Google that on YouTube and see, but let's see and post it, and hopefully people will learn something from today. Certainly I will. And then obviously it's just nice to be out. Got a bite here on the left-hand rod, the red rod. Let's investigate that and see what we got. Fish on. I thought it was a dogfish for a minute. Little tiny conger. So that's the blank beaten. I'm happy. Not a fish I'd expect to get straight off on the beach. He was taken on sandeel and squid. So let's get him unhooked and put back in. Got a bite here on the left hand rod. Let's have a look at that and bring it in. Well, that's a shame, I missed that one. I think he was there when I was bringing him in, but he dropped off about 30 yards from the shore. So anyway, let's bait up and have another bash. So rigs today, got a Gemini breakaway lead, make myself, about 190 grams to a imp with a swivel. I've got a bead, and then I got a 100-pound ASSO rig body. About 6 foot. I have a pulley bead, a bead, and then a size 1 Cedra swivel, and then the hook length, I think this is 80-pound fluoro carbon, down to this one's just got a standard 3/0 pulley pennel with Revis big mouth extras. So that last bite I missed was on sandeel and squid. The conger came to sandeel and squid. So well, that's just coincidence, but I'll bait up again with sandeel and see how we go. Didn't feel particularly big, but there was a fish there. Don't think that was a doggy. Might have been another small conger maybe. They're sort of quite rapid, rattly bites there. Anyway, let's bait up, cast out, and we'll be off again. Now that I've walked down the beach a bit, you can see the massive stack from Aberthaw power station sticking up above the cliff there, down towards Barry. The tide has gone out a fair way. There's a car park up in the distance there. I've probably walked a good 130, 140 yards since I set up initially. And obviously the tide's still going out. Still got an hour and 20 minutes before low water. It's quite a biggish tide today. And as I said, you can see up towards Nash Point there, St Donat's and Atlantic College. And quite a lot of rock ledges there across to my right as I'm looking out to sea. That might be another mark to try. They're quite steep shelving down into the bay there. So behind me it's sort of loose boulders and rocks. But that does sort of migrate more towards the classic rock ledges as we head out towards Nash Point. Just before I missed that last bite, I just had a spaniel dog just run up from about 200 yards from its owner, and before I knew it, it was right round my box. But one thing I do is that when I'm on the beach or there's dogs in the area, I basically just, when I've got baits made up, I just put them with the lid down inside my cool box, because well, I dread to think if a dog I'd have no chance to react. They're so quick, those spaniel type dogs. There's another one just running around mental over by the shoreline there now, so it's best to keep your bait tucked away, otherwise you might have to unhook a dog. It's hard enough trying to unhook a dogfish, let alone a spaniel. Anyway, it's quite a popular beach. It's obviously very warm now. It's 10 o'clock, so plenty of people out and about, so you just have to be careful if you're fishing here or any beach really, to make sure that your rigs are safe out of the way, so that the dogs don't take the baits. So a bit disappointed, missed 2 bites, but it's been good. Had the conger and then 2 bites which I missed. The last fish felt quite decent. I think on the dongle he must have just had the bait in his mouth and let it go. So I'm still persevering with it, but I am using my standard sort of 2-3 hook 3/0 pulley pennels, because I'm still not convinced I've got the dongle quite right to have a 100% hookup. I know they say you're meant to leave it, but previous experience has been that if I've left it too long, then the dogfish take it down as deep as they would a normal rig. Anyway, 1¼ hours to high water. Let's see if we can get another couple of fish for camera. Well, that wind's got up now and we've got a bit of a surf pushing in. It's low water, just 11:10, no more bites or anything. Had a lot of weed from about 10 o'clock, hour before low water to low water, but that's eased off now. Big shopping lines of weeds on a couple of casts. But yeah, the wind's turned around, got up a bit, and it's pushing on now. A bit of a chop in the water. We've got a surfer now as well. So the dogs have gone. Surfers have arrived. Okay, let's battle on and see what the flood brings. I've got a bite on the left-hand rod. We're going to have a look at that. I've got a sneaky feeling that is a small Bull Huss. I don't know, I'd be interested in what people think maybe on that. Very dark spots and just a different sort of head to it. I haven't caught a small one before like this. Anyway, let's get him unhooked and put back in. See the sort of nasal, I know you can tell a little bit differently on the nasal there, and eyes wise he's very brown on the eyes. Anyway, I'm just going to get a picture of that because that might be a new species for me off the shore. Well, here's another one, exactly, well, much smaller than the previous one, which I thought was a Bull Huss, and I'm pretty convinced this is as well. Absolutely tiny. I don't think it's a dogfish, just that the markings look a little bit different, the face looks a little bit different. I'm just going to get this one back in. Didn't see the bite, he was just winding in to change the bait, and he was there, so let's put him back in. Well, it's about 1.25 hours after low water. I've been getting some little knocks on the left hand rod, so I'm not 100% sure, but I want to rebait it anyway, so I'm just going to bring that one in and have a look. Well, hopefully you can hear me above the wind. Got another new species, although it's not a fish. It's tiddly lidly Little hermit crab, look. You can see. Took a liking to a prawn and squid bait. I just lost a set of tackle, bizarrely. I thought I had a bite, and wound in, rock solid, and had to pull for a break. So that's unfortunate. It's almost 2 hours after low water now. It's really windy, so apologies if the sound is a bit muffled. Loads more swimmers have arrived, so that's good to see, although I think I'm in their spot because they walked towards me, then saw that obviously I was fishing and wandered off. Anyway, let's try and get another bait in the water and see if we can catch one more fish for camera. So having said that, there's no videos of fishing here at Llantwit Major that I've seen recently. I do think that there's a tiny little headland there with a big cave underneath and a little bay there. I think that's Facilin Bay. I think that I had a look on Google Maps. I'm sure that's what popped up. And people or anglers fish off the top of the cliffs there, I believe. So I'll have a look at that when I get home. But I'm sure that's a popular mark, albeit pretty unique because you're very, very high up fishing. Well, it's that windy now. I had to change my hat. I had to put my bobble hat back on because my sun hat was blowing off. So you can probably hear the wind blowing. I'm sort of back up in the stones now. There's a little sort of where the river comes through the pebbles there at the bank by the cafe. There's pretty much sand quite the way up towards there. You can see there's obviously in a little V shape, so at the mouth of the V you can see the rocks on that side, on the right hand side as I'm looking out to water. And this sort of mass of boulders and rock never ended actually, even at low tide, so that bounds the sort of little beach area here to the east as such. After all that weed on low water, there's a little bit of weed but nothing major, so that lasted about an hour, getting washing lines and such. But since then it's just the wind has picked up and made conditions a little bit difficult. Well, here's another one of these Huss-like dogs. I'm sure it's not a dogfish. I just think they look sort of so different. It's just normally you can tell a dog. These got really dark spots on them, different sort of eyes. And there's you can tell by the nose, the nasal flaps, I think. So I'm gonna have a look at that when I get home. But anyway, let's put this one back. Well, here's another one. Still think they're Bull Huss, little Bull Huss, but I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but they just look, they just don't look like the normal run-of-the-mill dogfish we get around here. But I'm no expert on Bull Huss. There's lovely eyes though. They got more eyes like a ray. Lovely. Anyway, let's put this little fella back. Well, that's it for another session. Hopefully you can hear me over the helicopter. 3 hours after low water, the tide's pushing in really hard now, and I was up into the boulders, so decided to stop. That was my plan anyway, 3 hours down, 3 hours up. So, interesting session. I googled how to identify a Bull Huss, and they have got those two like nasal flaps that were on those fish, whereas a dogfish is more of a single one that comes down to the mouth. I'll put a couple of pictures that I found online. It does say it's quite hard to identify them when they're small. They get misidentified as dogfish. Anyway, so I think I had 4, maybe 5 of those little Huss. They just look different, even without looking at the mouth area. They just look different in terms of spots, the darkness of the spots and the distribution of the spots. And I had a small conger as well early on. Missed a couple of bites, so all in all quite a productive session. Maybe not what I was expecting to catch here. Never having fished here before or seen any videos of what's been caught here. Perhaps maybe was expecting dogfish or maybe a ray or something like that, but anyway, new species since COVID, so that's nice. The wind's got up and I'm going to see if the cafe's open, have a cup of coffee, get cleaned off, and then make the 50-odd mile drive back to Chepstow. Well, hope you've enjoyed this new mark. I certainly have. It's been very pleasant, very windy. The conditions have certainly changed, but there's definitely fish here. The odd snag, even though it's sand. I lost a couple of traces. One was right under a rock and I could feel it grating. But anyway, that's how it goes sometimes. So thanks for watching, thanks for liking and subscribing, take care, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye now, bye.